Turning Point USA is just Sex Offenders USA. Erica Kirk walking on stage with Nicki Minaj just epitomizes that movement. You think Nicki's trying to get a pardon for her husband's sex crimes? I don't know if they were state federal. But the grift begins for Nicki. Career's in the fucking tank, so let me jump over to the Schnazis. Oh, and by the way, the largest donor to Turning Point? Yeah, the guy that owns OnlyFans? The Turning Point USA is literally the whole trafficking kids thing. Yeah, that's them. That's them. And Erica Kirk is a fucking reptile, by the way. She's a reptilian. She's the most wicked, evil-looking cunt I've ever seen in my motherfucking life. Every time she talks, I just want to fucking punch her in the face. Now, I wouldn't hit women, but I'll hit a reptile. You know? And thank God I don't need to go to church. Could you imagine walking into a place with a bunch of people, around a bunch of pedophiles, forgiving them for their crimes? Y'all wash their feet too? Y'all fucking disgusting.
MAGA Christian nationalists understand exactly how much power young, confident women have, and they're trying to steal it and use it to manipulate as many people as possible. They know they cannot manufacture the same level of social influence and credibility in young men, so they find it in young women and then they weaponize it. Watching clips from Turning Point USA this weekend, you can see it playing out in real time. They pick women who are not stupid, who are attractive, who are well-spoken, who are camera-ready, and not because they want them to lead, but because they want them to sell their message. Their message is, your rights are negotiable and your freedom is selfish. But that's the psychological trick that patriarchy has been using since the beginning of time. They make these young women think that they're in control, that they have power, and they know that the more life a woman leads, the harder it is to sell her that garbage. So the answer is trap them early. And then they tell us to compete against each other instead of with each other. And that is a proven tactic of the patriarchy for centuries. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's everywhere, from the Gilded Age to Turning Point USA.
Turning Point USA should terrify you. It definitely terrifies me. The past few days I've been inundated with tons of content poking fun at AmericaFest in Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah, the memes are funny. Yeah, that time where Erica Kirk called that kid a grifter is hilarious. Yeah, we're all disappointed in Nicki Minaj right now. But all this content is just engagement bait that's not magnifying what the big issue is. They are insanely organized. They have a ton of money, and they are creating a grassroots movement that the DNC is currently throwing sticks and stones at. It's not a massive conference. They are in 3,000 schools right now where kids are having face-to-face conversations with other kids telling them that the source of their problems is woke politics and progressives. And it's working. It worked in 2024, and it's getting worse. One of the biggest concerns that Gen Z has based off of statistical data is that they don't feel like they belong and they don't have community. Enter Turning Point. One of the biggest challenges that conservative politics has had over the course of the past 20 years is that a lot of voters feel like they are out of touch and it's just a bunch of old white men and they don't know how to reach young people. Enter Turning Point. Now they have a martyr. They have a real life Jesus Christ that they look up to and they feel like they need to fulfill his destiny. In the 2 weeks after Charlie Kirk's death, hundreds of students signed up to start chapters of Turning Point, and over 60,000 students signed up to join them. This is not political election strategy. This is a cultural movement, and they have hundreds of millions of dollars to fund it. Absolutely, we can point to racism and sexism for one of the main contributing factors that Kamala Harris lost the 2024 election. But the reality is that Donald Trump created a 11-point shift in 18 to 29-year-old voters, specifically amongst young white male voters, and it is getting even worse in the past year. And before you say, well, look at the most recent election wins, doesn't that mean that we're challenging it? No, because the pendulum swing that happens is atypical over the course of the past 24 years after an elected president enters office. What Turning Point is doing is very much like what Jerry Falwell did with the conservative coalition in the 1970s and 1980s, where they turned conservative politics into a single issue, abortions. And it worked. It worked for almost 40 years. The DNC has to figure out a way to challenge this, and it can't just be funny memes that are trolling Donald Trump. We have to be on the ground. And yes, there are a few organizations that are attempting to do this, but they have nowhere near the organization and the funding that Turning Point USA has. So while everybody is laughing at the memes coming from America Fest, I see something terrifying, and it should terrify you as well. And we currently aren't doing anything to challenge it.
Turning Point USA held its first AmFest post the assassination of Charlie Kirk over the weekend, and it was completely off the rails. Humiliating moments, Freudian slips and slides, the Civil War, infighting, attacks of all different kinds. Why do we on the left care about this? Well, if the right is in complete and total shambles as to what their movement stands for and what it is all about, it's an opportunity for the left. Notice that I'm not saying it means that the left now is able to win or will take the House in 26. It's an opportunity. The left known for squandering opportunities, so there's not a guarantee of anything. Let's look at some of the moments. Nicki Minaj, the entertainer, artist, I guess like singer, musical performer, Nicki Minaj, spoke at the event. Reports are that she was paid to appear. She wasn't just appearing out of her own goodness, but people get paid to appear places all the time. She did something stunning, which is while on stage with Charlie Kirk's widow, she referred to J.D. Vance as the assassin and then realized, oh my God, I'm talking to the widow of a man who was assassinated just months ago. She gets awkward. It gets awkward. One of the strangest moments of any public event that I have maybe ever seen.
Yes. See, dear young men, you have amazing role models like our handsome, dashing president. And you have amazing role models like the assassin J.D. Vance, our vice president. And when I say that...
Uh-oh. Oh my God.
Trust me, there's nothing new under the sun that I have not heard, so you're fine. Yes, we did. I love you.
I don't know that I've ever seen something more awkward other than maybe this clip, which is maybe the best moment of the entire event, where Erica Kirk describes her husband as a grifter and then realizes that that's not the words she was searching for.
Despite the devastating loss of Charlie Kirk, my incredible husband at UVU, Caleb has persisted with the same gift. Grit. It has been a long day.
Right.
Trust me, you're not a grifter, honey.
No. No grifters in sight. Can't find a grifter no matter where you look there, huh?
Charlie Kirk has a new book out. You may have heard about this, maybe not. I don't even know what the hell it's called. Not really the point. But he has this book out that apparently he wrote before he was killed. I don't know if he actually wrote it or not. The relevance of that I'll get to in a second. But it's being reported that in the first week, the book has sold over 57,000 copies, which is pretty darn good. And that's what I want to talk about. Who do you think is buying this book? MAGAs, right? And you may be thinking, as I did, what the hell are MAGAs doing buying a book? They don't read. I mean, most of them are barely literate. And we know they don't read. So what the hell are they doing buying a book? Well, buying the Charlie Kirk book is how you virtue signal if you're a MAGA. This is one of the ways in which you prove how legitimately MAGA you are. You buy the Charlie Kirk book, and you make sure everybody knows that you bought the Charlie Kirk book. So you buy it, and then you take a picture of yourself with the book, and then you post that on social media with something, you got to say something too. Or you could just post it as is, but you might say something about your devotion to Charlie Kirk and MAGA or Trump or something like that. But that's the way you show what a true believing MAGA cultist you are.
Okay, we have got to talk about Nicki Minaj. She appeared on stage with Erica Kirk at Turning Point USA's America Fest in an appearance that was billed as a surprise. But if you've been following her on social media, it's probably not a surprise that she would turn up at a conservative event like this. She has been posting a lot about conservative causes. And she used her appearance on stage to praise President Trump and to call out who she described as elites who were silencing dissenting voices.
I have the utmost respect and admiration for our president.
And I want to call your attention to the very clear strategy that I see behind all of this. Her presence at that event signifies that Turning Point USA, that the conservative movement has cultural reach beyond the typical base. Conservatives want to build on the gains they made with young voters and with voters of color in 2024. And being able to point to Nicki Minaj and others helps them do just that. Not because I think that the Barbs, her fan base, are running to embrace conservatism. Actually, I think that she's gotten a lot of blowback because of her conservative views and the things that she has been talking about. But her appearance does make many more people aware of this conservative movement and what it's selling. Because in this environment, and as we approach the election year, attention is currency.
Erica Kirk said the quiet part out loud.
Despite the devastating loss of Charlie Kirk, my incredible husband at UVU, Caleb has persisted with the same gift. Grit. It has been a long day.
This reminds me of all the times Republicans have accidentally let the truth slip, and then they try to cover it up with not one, but multiple lies and corrections that don't even make sense. Like the time in 2018 at Helsinki when asked about Russia's interference in the election, and he said, "I don't see any reason why it would be," and then there was huge backlash, and he corrected and he said, "I meant it wouldn't be. It doesn't make any sense that it wouldn't be," which doesn't make any fucking sense either. But Erica Kirk not only gave it away and said, "Oh, you have to continue the grift. Oops, I didn't mean to say that." She then says gift, like she's correcting herself, and then says grit. If you fuck up when you're saying something, you immediately say the correct word that you meant to say because your brain realizes you fucked up. You don't correct yourself twice, and then try to cover up the fact that you used the word grift, which is not a common everyday word in a sentence, with the fact that, "Oh, it's been a long day." Unfortunately, this is just like the time Donald Trump, before the election, told his supporters in the scorching 90-degree heat that he doesn't care about them, he just wants their vote. They're going to take it as a funny little moment, as a joke, and they're going to keep throwing money at her. Because these people don't fucking learn.
Something just happened at Turning Point USA, and nobody saw this coming. At America Fest in Phoenix, Turning Point USA teased a massive surprise. People thought maybe Trump was going to show up, and instead, Erica Kirk walks on stage and brings out Nicki Minaj. And the entire place absolutely explodes. Nicki sits down on stage, starts reading her own mean tweets about Gavin Newsom, and the crowd loses it. But this wasn't just another celebrity cameo. I mean, she actually went deep. She praised President Trump. She talked about Vance. She defended Christians being persecuted around the world, especially in Nigeria. And she said she's done backing down just to keep people comfortable. When Erica Kirk asked her about the backlash from her own industry, her response was 3 words: "I didn't notice." She talked about faith, about coming back to God, about letting boys be boys and girls love who they are, and about people being allowed to think out loud again. Love her or hate her, this moment matters because Nicki Minaj, standing on a Turning Point USA stage, praising Trump, calling out Newsom, and saying what a lot of Americans are afraid to say out loud, that's not just a viral clip, that's a cultural shift, and explains exactly why America Fest keeps breaking the internet. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section. Appreciate you.
Turning Point USA's 4-day circle jerk of evangelical Christianity and overt racism, also known as AmericaFest, seemingly imploded and turned into a contest of who could out-MAGA each other. 30,000 people showed up to watch Ben Shapiro, Steve Bannon, Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, and the rest of the WASP squad straight up try to just verbally one-up each other in the form of name-calling and, nah, you're worse, I'm awesome, I'm better than you, yeah. Told you. And you know what? I'm here for it. Years of watching the Democrat Party cannibalize itself, and now I get to watch MAGA play a game of who's the bigger racist? Hell yeah, brother. Two of my favorite events from this veritable who's who of They Paid Me to Be Here. The first was when Nicki Minaj got on stage with Erica Kirk, and then proceeded to urge young men to be handsome and dashing like President Trump. What the fuck, Nicki? What the fuck? How did you manage to say that shit with your full chest out loud without spilling the contents of your stomach onto the stage? That paycheck must have been bigly as fuck. The second one, and arguably my most favorite, so I saved it for last, was when JD Vance got up on stage and said, "In the United States of America, you don't have to apologize for being white anymore." JD, my brother in Christ, no one is asking you to apologize for being white. And if you are apologizing for being a white, it's because you're a racist piece of shit. Or you're making a little jokey joke, like, I'm sorry this chicken isn't seasoned. I'm white. Anyway, later in JD's little speech, he said that by the grace of God, America will always remain a Christian nation. To thunderous applause. And ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Forget all about the fact that the Constitution is secular by design and separates religion and government. And forget about the fact that the founders of this country explicitly rejected a religious state. No, forget about all of that. We've got MAGA on the case. And I'm sure Jesus would get behind all that MAGA stands for. Am I right? No, I'm not right. And if you think that Jesus would get behind what MAGA preaches, then I suggest that you read that one book that we were talking about the other day that I forgot the name of, but then I remembered, the Bible again. Anyway, it's day 335 in a series in which I ask myself, do I have to go to work today? And if the answer is yes, I don't care. Here we go. Do I have to go to work today? I do. Handsome and dashing, you say. Ugh. See you tomorrow.
Erica Kirk is making choices, isn't she? She's making very intentional choices about what it looks like to be a grieving widow, and we really shouldn't be surprised that apparently in MAGA world, a spouse's assassination doesn't interfere with the standards of cosplay one bit. The conservative world is very clearly getting the message that whatever life throws at you, you meet it with a smoky eye and a sequined power suit. We really need to take note of the disconnect because it proves yet again how steep the ornamental requirements are for women in the inner circle. One thing's for sure, women on the right know their roles and they deliver their performances like seasoned professionals. If you want to be part of the regime, you can't slip up for a second, even if your life explodes. In fact, if your life explodes in a way that can be leveraged, you've got to put grieving off entirely until that attention wave is ridden all the way to the shore. Because catastrophe is sexy if you light it correctly. Throw in some pyro, and then sit back and watch Erica rock widowhood like an innocent but accomplished, hot but not cheap, smart but submissive, strong but needing a tender hug kind of a way. Turning Point knows how to sex up Erica's tragic loss like no one else. All they had to do was surround her with a flashy set like the game shows the boomers love, build in plenty of time to pray to Jesus to absolve everyone of the hate they feel for thy neighbor, and boom! It's the perfect petri dish for righteous, titillated, vengeful loyalty. Jazz hands, everyone! God forbid we see the messy side of grief. God forbid Erica's mascara runs down her face. God forbid the world sees a woman fall apart when it's entirely appropriate to fall apart. That might give the nation the notion that we're emotional beings who can't always schedule our glam around our gloom. Nah, turn that smile upside down. Get out there and work it, girl. You'll be just as effective an ornament for JD as you were for Charlie. Just one little caveat. Conservative women are going to need to see you at home on the prairie, homeschooling your kids every once in a while. So at some point, you'll have to strike a balance between sequins and sourdough starter. Prove me wrong.
I am more convinced today than ever before that we all died during COVID and this is all like some collective fever dream or afterlife or something like that. Because just a few minutes ago, JD Vance, the Vice President of the United States of America, tweeted this sentence, or Truth Social. I assume it's on both platforms. Nicki Minaj said something at AmFest that was really profound. You've got to be joking me. This is not real life. Can someone wake me up? This can't be real. Anyway, what he goes on to say is also important, and then I'm going to show you a clip that completely shows the total hypocrisy of it all. He says that what she said was something to the effect of, just because I want little black girls to think they're beautiful doesn't mean I need to put down little girls with blonde hair and blue eyes. We all got wrapped up over the last few years in zero-sum thinking. This was because the people who think they rule the world pit us against each other. Nicki Minaj rejects that. We all should. Wow, we should all be like Nicki Minaj. Then why, JD Vance, did you say the following during your speech yesterday?
And Jasmine Crockett. Oh, Jasmine Crockett. The record speaks for itself. She wants to be a senator, though her street girl persona is about as real as her nails.
After trying to position himself on the internet today as some sort of all-inclusive vice president, he then makes a microaggression not 24 hours before that. Because black women were the ones who pioneered nail art. And in case you do live under a rock, this is Jasmine Crockett. These are photos from her Vogue shoot, by the way. Let's all remember this was JD Vance's photo shoot. Okay. Acrylic nails first emerged in the 1950s, ironically invented by a dentist, didn't know that, and were swiftly adopted by black women as a sign of femininity and style. Nail art flourished and evolved in black culture throughout the 1990s and 2000s, thanks in no small part to rappers like Missy Elliott and Lil' Kim rocking acrylics. From there, it was a short, if all too familiar, path to cultural appropriation and mainstream adoption. Nail influencers have tens of thousands of followers on Instagram. Nail techs like Jenny Bowie are stylists to celebrities, and even men like Bad Bunny are finding new ways to adorn their fingertips. So if you wanted to know, JD Vance held a Triple K rally yesterday, and I have this really fun set for Christmas because of black women who pioneered this style.